Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now let us check to make sure that we are number one, streaming, and number two, have audio. It looks like we probably have audio going out, so that's a plus. Let's see if it'll let us check our streaming status over here. Sorry, and make sure that we are going out live. Yes, it looks like we're doing an excellent connection right now. That is a plus. It was messing with us really bad the other day. I'm going to try to go ahead and give a couple people a moment to get on in here. I should have started some intro music, but I don't want to mix this with my radio work. I want this to be understood that what I'm doing, Dark Wolf Hicks. I do not represent any station, form of any organization or anything like that. Right now, I am speaking as an individual, an American, and just a single person. I just want to make this really clear. My views right now represent no other organizations besides myself. I hope some of you guys come on back in here really quick so we can go ahead and get started on this message, because it is a message for the masses, as Jimmy Church would say. So let a couple people get in here, at least a couple people start saying hi. Maybe we can start getting going. Can you guys hear me okay out there in YouTube land? I do hope so. Go ahead and give me a one up in the chat. Or wow, we got people just popping for a second and going back. Come on, guys, give me some screen time here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very extremely important indeed, because it is about something that has been threatened very recently here in this country. Something that it should scare every single person. The actions we've seen taken in the last 48 hours. This should scare every last one of you listening to my voice. Why? Because this has gone beyond political parties, ladies and gentlemen. This has gone beyond a presidential race and an election that had questions. What this has come down to is our absolute basic freedoms that are at stake. Freedoms that were given to us in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. See, when I was a kid and I was in school, every morning when we went to school, we took an oath to our country. You guys may remember this. If so, we've got the flag on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. I beg of you, please say it along with me. Put your hand over your heart, or at least to the right side of your chest, where the heart used to be, and you say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One republic for which it stands, right? Liberty and justice for all, right? For all. All means all, ladies and gentlemen. All means all. We take an oath to our country, or we used to when we were kids, every single morning, because it meant something back then. It meant we were thankful to have our freedoms. How is freedom defined? Freedom, the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Absence of subjugation on or to foreign domination or despotic governments. The state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. The state of being physically unrestricted and able to move easily. The state of not being subject to or affected by a particular undesirable thing. The power of self-determination attributed to the will. The quality of being independent of fate or necessity. I'm going to repeat that last one. The power of self-determination attributed to the will. I keep hearing people say, put the thing on, put it on. It's your choice. You should put it on. We lost choice when it became mandated in our cities that we would be fined if we did not wear it. Our choice was gone right there. Our freedom was taken. So these arguments Do we have freedom when it comes to the decisions to wear things, accessories around our head? No, we don't. We don't have the freedom to make that decision. Not anymore. Not without penalty. Unrestricted use of something. Familiarity or openness in speech or behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the definition of freedom. Freedom, which is at stake in this country more so than ever. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to read the Declaration of Independence, mainly because YouTube, Twitter, and none of the rest of the technocracy like to hear about freedom, because their CCP Chinese overlords definitely don't agree with freedom. And yes, I said it. I'm not afraid to say it. You see, when these men wrote this document, they were coming out from under an oppressive king and government, and they were not happy. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth that separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Ladies and gentlemen, we hold these truths to be self-evident. You remember this? That all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. You guys are going to like this. Stick around. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These last three have been under attack for 4 years and are now more so under attack than ever. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I'm going to repeat that. This is our Declaration of Independence. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Our governing body has forgotten that they need our consent, because clearly the polls aren't helping anything right now. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety. Governments long established shall not be changed for light and transient causes. And what we are seeing today is a government that is trying to nitpicky thing they can to scream down any disagreements with them, to make sure they have the only voice. I'm going to continue. Accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their security. Such has been the patient sufferings of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations. These may sound really familiar to you, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Brenda Mitchell and Bit of Venom. I'm very glad to have you guys here. I really appreciate everybody listening right now or even on demand. It really does mean a lot to me because, ladies and gentlemen, freedom is at stake right now. Again, I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, a liberal. I don't care. It isn't about parties anymore, ladies and gentlemen. This went beyond political parties. Our government, or the incoming government, is about to install absolute communist socialism, and we cannot allow this. Our freedoms clearly and presently are at stake. Everybody says, oh, well, it was just the president, and, we freely choose to use these things. Fair enough. But when they go and create another social media company and the technocracy shuts them down, they shut down free speech, ladies and gentlemen. They went to war with free speech. And apparent freedoms. We have rights in this country. I'm going to go back to this Declaration of Independence, because it is important that people hear this anymore. This is stuff that the history of the present King of Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world, because back then you could find a candid world. Unfortunately, it's hard to do anymore. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. Sounds familiar? He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be attained. And when so suspended, he is utterly neglected to attend to them. Sounds familiar? With the upcoming, changeover. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people were to relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidably to tyrants only. Tyrant is a word that we're going to learn really well in the next couple of years if we don't. Unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public record, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. This reminds me of experiences we had for the last 6 months in the country of the United States, wearing the people out to the point that they just throw their hands in the air and say, okay, fine, I give up. It's horrid. He has called together legislative bodies at places in... He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. So for opposing the invasions on the rights of the people, he dissolved the House. Does that sound familiar? He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. Ignoring justice, that is what we're seeing in this day and age, ladies and gentlemen. Our freedoms being ignored, our justice being laughed at. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their office and the amount of payment of their salaries. Does this also not sound like something's going on in this country for a long time? People say, oh, the courts just threw out those cases. Just because the court refuses to do their job doesn't make it any more right. To certify it a lie is still a lie. It's just a certified lie. He has kept amongst us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others, this is King of England, and the Declaration of Independence. For those just joining in, we are reading through the actual Declaration of Independence. And they are speaking of the King of England, for which they left to start this country of freedoms. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving him assent to their acts of pretend legislation. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. They haven't done that yet, ladies and gentlemen, they will. For protecting them by mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. Don't think that isn't coming. For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. This is about to be a big one, ladies and gentlemen, because they aren't going to ask questions. They're just going to start imposing taxes for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury. And anymore, we get trial by public, don't we? Or trial by Democrats, right? Or transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretend offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in neighboring provinces, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. Ladies and gentlemen, this one's coming too. If we don't say something, if we don't start speaking with a voice so loud that the angels of God can hear us, then all of this will come to pass here too. I know this sounds like fear porn, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, I wish it was. I wish it didn't have to be so to the point that it's got here. I wish I was just going off and didn't actually have a reason to do this. He has plundered the seas, ravaged the coast, burnt the towns, and destroyed the lives of people. He's abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what has happened in the last 48 to 72 hours now. War has been waged against freedom itself, the very values of freedom. Whether you disagree with a political party is irregardless at this point. It doesn't matter your political affiliation. If you're an American, this should scare you. This should scare the wits out of you. As I posted earlier, and it's been said in many, many forms, but I kind of brought it up to date. They came after the president, and I said nothing because I'm not a Republican. They came after the supporters, and I said nothing because I'm not a supporter. They came after the unions, and I said nothing because I'm not part of a union. They came at me, and there was no one left to say anything. Do you want that to be you, ladies and gentlemen? Do you want to be the last one left? Do you want to be the last one that they're coming to walk and get because nobody else is standing there to protect you? Because you couldn't stand up and protect when the time was necessary. And that time has come, ladies and gentlemen. As we see things start to roll out in this country, we need to have a voice like we've never had before. I've got people in my chat right now saying they're not even American and this scares them. We are the last bastion of freedom in the world, in the entire world. And they're trying to ruin that right now, ladies and gentlemen. All the technocracy, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of the horrible ones that run the online media have banded together, Amazon, have banded together to shut down a site called Parler. Why is this a problem? Well, number one, because all Parler did was encourage free speech. There's something called Section 230. The reason that we can go on Facebook and Twitter and post whatever we want is because Twitter's not held responsible as a publisher, thanks to a government gift, basically, from the 90s. But right now, they want Parler to waive that and not take the, what's given their right by the government that all these other guys enjoy, but they want Parler to do different and be held responsible for any and everything that happens, even though Facebook and Twitter cannot be. But they can allow despots, they can allow really, really, really bad people on there, but they can't allow freedom. They can't allow the free world to have a voice. And then they say, well, okay, fine, it's free. Just go start another one, right? It's free. You signed a terms of service agreement. You could just go to another one. What, another one of theirs? Because when somebody starts another one, they shut it down. How is that free? How is that even a capitalist economy? Can somebody please tell me this? I would love to know. How can they band together to stop another company that's doing nothing but promoting free speech? That should tell you in itself what they're after. I'm in Canada, says one of my viewers, Brenda Mitchell. We are all in this together. Here, here. This is a global problem, ladies and gentlemen. If you live in a free country or a country that's supposed to be any kind of monicum of free, and you let this pass, then we're no better than the ones doing it to us. We have to speak with voices as loud as the angels themselves, so loud the angels can hear us from all the way the other side of the veil. This has to be done. It's unfortunate, but it has to be done. Then there's our Bill of Rights. Our Bill of Rights, ladies and gentlemen, we do have one of those. We've got certain rights that were given to us. There were 10 amendments in this bill, and I'm going to read those right now because these are what they're going to try to steal from us left and right. They've already tried. I wish this was fear porn. I really do. I would feel better if I thought it was, but it's not. This is as serious as a heart attack, as me looking at you and talking to you right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is as serious as it gets. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. No law prohibiting the free exercise of religion. Even though the last 6 months they have tried to stop exercise of religion based on another reasoning they've been using that I'm not going to bring up on, or of the press, or of the right to people to assemble peacefully, and I will agree with peaceably, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, not to have these grievances laughed at and told you're crazy when the address is made. But that's exactly what's happened. Things have been brought into question in this country that should be brought into question, but the other side screams loudly enough, and they've used the mainstream media arm to scream as loud as they like, to the point that the only voice you hear anymore is the one that screams loudest. Does that make it right? No. That just makes it the loudest. That means it's screaming out the truth, right? The lie tries to scream over the truth, does it not? It wants to be heard. It wants to be believed. It's a lie. It's what it does. Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This one right here, ladies and gentlemen, we need you to remember this every single day for the next 4 years if things go the way they want them to go. Because this is under attack. The moment they take your guns, you have no regress left, ladies and gentlemen. You have no way to protect yourself anymore. When only the ones in charge have guns, only the ones in charge will stay in charge. Peace be quarantined in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in manner to be prescribed by law. They cannot force soldiers into your house, even though I wouldn't put it past what is coming. I want to go back to Amendment 2 real quick about keeping and bearing arms and shall not be infringed. What you're about to see in America is what we've seen in 2014 and 2015, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen mass boom booms week after week after week. Mass clickety-click boom booms. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to use a word on here. They want us to use that word. They want to ban this. I ain't going to try to give them a reason. But the click-click booms, you guys know what I mean? They're going to try to ban them. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to get the American people to beg them to take them. You're about to see mass boom boom after mass boom boom after mass boom boom. Every other week, every 3 weeks, every week, every couple days. They're not going to give up until they get you to beg them to take control. Beg them for safety. Remember, Benjamin Franklin said it best. The person that gives up safety in the name of liberty deserves neither. No soldier in time of peace shall be quartered in a house without the consent of the owner. No, okay, I read that one. Amendment 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause. supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Yes, you got another Canadian here from Toronto. I'm so glad to see you guys in here. It's good to know we've got support everywhere. I love this. I appreciate you guys a lot for being here. And I appreciate you guys listening later on. This is an important message, ladies and gentlemen. This is the stuff that we are not taught in schools anymore. This is the stuff that needs to be put out there on every live stream. Our freedoms are at stake. Our very way of life in America is at stake. And they've gotten so brazen they don't even care. They'll admit that they're trying to change the way America is. I'm not going to use the other word. You know the word I'm referencing, though, ladies and gentlemen. It starts with an S and ends with ism. You can put the rest of the letters in there. Amendment number 5, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life and limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against thereof himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Shout out JJ. Rock on, brother. Amendment number 6. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with a witness against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witness in his favor, and have the assistance of counsel for his defense. This will slowly be eroded away. I guarantee that. Amendment 7. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Amendment number 8. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Even, may I add, in the name of safety. Brenda, it is my absolute honor and pleasure to do this stream. This has been on my heart and on my mind for a couple days, and I had to calm down and get to where I could talk on, a public platform without losing my mind before I could do this stream. As you guys could imagine, you can see I'm right on the verge of it as is, but I'm behaving pretty well because, we don't want the despots to take us off. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall be construed to deny or disparage others restrained by the people. It shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by a peoples, by us. The powers not delegated to the United States, Amendment 10, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. Ladies and gentlemen, may I urge you to stop using Amazon. I would urge you to stop using Twitter and Facebook, but I can't say that because I have to use them for marketing. So I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite like, other parties that we know of. But I would urge you to drop Amazon as I did tonight. You see, Amazon was part of that technocracy that did this. And to be clear, this wasn't done until the Democrats met with the technocracy, with Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube. The Democrats, let's be real, there's no two way about it. Socialist, I'll say it. Communist, I know I wouldn't say it a moment ago. Screw it. It's truth. Let truth reign. There's no two ways about this. When they conspire, this is more than a theory. We've seen this. When they conspire to shut down freedom of speech, they are no longer an American party. They are communist. They are socialist. they are a problem. They're taking our rights left, right, and center. We've had the right of, the right of free speech has been taken. The right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The right of choice and will, right? The right to freedom. Well, the moment we were forced to put the things on our heads and then told that there's a mandate and we'll be fined otherwise, we no longer was given a freedom choice, were we? Yeah, we can choose to take a fine, right? That's penalty. Where's our choice without penalty? We no longer have that freedom. Yeah, I know. Parler is what I'm very mad about. The last bastion of free speech, and the ones that decided what free speech should be have shut them down. Ladies and gentlemen, the technocracy has decided they have more power than any government on this planet. They've decided they can decide the course of free speech. This is more than shutting down one person on Twitter anymore. They shut down an entire platform because they didn't agree with who was on it. Does that sound like freedom to you, ladies and gentlemen? Or does that sound like communist socialism? And this is only step one. They vowed to take down the NRA. They vowed to take down religion. They don't care about you. Make no two ways about it. The Democrats care nothing for you because you took them out of power and put in the orange guy. They want to punish the world. They're going to start with the Americans. They've already done it. They've restricted your freedom of movement, haven't they? They've restricted your freedom of liberty. They've restricted your freedom of choice. How many more freedoms are we going to give up, ladies? Are we going to lay down and take before we stand up and say we've had enough? Or are we going to let it get to the point where it becomes our duty to reinstall the government and make it about us again? Because make no mistake, the Declaration of Independence is on the screen. I've read over it once. Tyrannical. And I don't want to see that happen to this country. But make no mistake, I'm not afraid to fight for the country that I love. This is my country. This is America. It has freedoms. We have rights. And we won't stand them to be taken much longer. I don't care your political faction. I don't care your political belief. I don't care what party you're in. This is beyond this anymore. This has grown over a line. I don't care that there was some bunch of bad people that did something last Wednesday. They don't represent an entire movement of people. That's like judging every German today on the actions of Hitler. It's wrong. They don't represent each other. The actions of 20 or 30 people do not represent the actions or beliefs of an entire movement across a country. When things are brought into question and we're laughed at and told we're crazy, when we're gaslighted for exercising our rights by our own mainstream media, our own press has turned on us, our own court systems have turned on us. What do we have left? We're running out of options. And then they shut down, blatantly, publicly shut down, the last bastion of free speech for, quote, not playing by their rules, end quote. Make no two ways about this, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm even still on YouTube right now, or after this stream is done. Our freedoms are at stake. Is at stake. How much are you willing to give up to see one person punished before they come after you? Will it be a problem then? Will that be when you stand up and say, oh no, not me, to help you? They will have cleared out all of the oppositions that have tried to keep freedom as it is. This is an important message. And clearly YouTube's doing its best to keep this message from going out. I'm seeing the buffering over here. I do apologize. I don't know how much of this has gone out tonight. But share this wide and far. Freedom must be protected at all costs. This is about patriotism. This is about loving your country. This is about standing up for what you believe and for what is right. Remember, all across the world, I know I've got an audience here right now that is very international. When America falls, the last bastion of hope in the world is gone. Then what do we have? When freedom dies, the globe and freedom around the globe will die with it. You will see despotism and tyranny in every corner of the world. And I don't want to get into the argument about globe or flat earth. We're not here to argue that right now. So, than that. This is our very way of life, ladies and gentlemen. We were brought up in America. We were brought up believing in freedom and Lady Liberty. And we were given these freedoms. They cannot be taken away from us. And when they are, it is both our right and our duty to stand up and say, no, we're not going to take this anymore. Learn your rights, ladies and gentlemen. Learn what America was founded on. To forget your history is to repeat it. This country is heading, if we forget that, it won't be pretty in the future either. The red and white on that flag, the red and white on this flag right here, that stands for something. It stands for the wars fought, the blood shed, the liberty gained. Make no mistake, this country was fought for, is fought for, and will be fought for until the very end. And I think that's about all I have to say. So in closing, we're going to read, and not even read, we're going to do one more time the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're not American, I don't expect you to do it. If you are, and you still remember it from being a kid, please say it along with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which she stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. I am a patriot. That doesn't mean I'm part of the Q movement. Make no mistake, I am a patriot. I love my country. I will fight for my country. I am a national patriot. And all of you, whether you're in America or across the world, need to stand up and say enough is enough, and we're not going to take it anymore. And we're tired of our freedoms being revoked by those in power that think they can do whatever they want, whenever they want. They've made that clear by revoking the freedom of another company to be established for free speech. Ladies and gentlemen, scream it so loud, the angels on the other side of the veil have to cover their ears and wake. Dare to dream. Goodbye, everybody. May patriots remain.